I know I'm only on 1 day a week. I get it. I'm going to have to jump on GarageBand and start sawing something together. This is the Hal Sparks Show. Wow. And a guitar note, and then progressive. And all that. Yeah, it's going to be good.
Hey, Hal, did you mean something like this?
This is the Hal Sparks Show. Wow. And a guitar note, and then progressive. And all that. Yeah, it's going to be good.
The Hal Sparks radio program, mega worldwide.
Yeah, it's going to be good. And we're back. Welcome to the show. It's the Hal Sparks radio program, mega worldwide. We're on every Saturday on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk, and of course, live streaming at infotainmentwars.com and also at fwank.com, which is twitch.tv/Hal Sparks. If you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe, and it doesn't cost you a dime. There have been so many great moments in the Arizona audit.
It's ungiven.
I mean, obviously, there are 261 moments that are my personal favorites, and that's where some nudnik Trump supporter was sitting at a table with a lazy Susan, looking for panda poop in ballots. When I found another Biden vote that we didn't count, that needs to be added to the pile. I also found another duplicate Trump vote that somebody tried to count twice that has to be scratched off. So it's these moments. Times like these are made for Taster's Choice. There's just so many Taster's Choice moments in this.
Wow.
Yeah, way back.
That's like 1979 TV.
Oh yeah, I'm literally having flash. I think the woman in those ads was the Wicked Witch of the West, if I'm not mistaken, or she was.
Oh, that would be amazing!
Yeah,
just one of those.
Yeah, the old lady in it was actually the Wicked Witch of the West from Wizard of Oz. An Arizona GOP. Yes, an Arizona GOP lawmaker lashed out at Ken Bennett, liaison for the state Senate election audit, on Thursday after he stated that Joe Biden was the legitimate winner of the 2020 election. Oh, the torment. Oh, the torture. During a House Oversight and Reform Committee, Bennett was asked whether former President Donald Trump was correct to claim that Biden had, quote, lost in Arizona based on the forensic audit. I would not characterize it that way, Bennett replied. I was asked by the Senate to be the liaison to the Maricopa audit. The Maricopa audit found that the results were very similar to what Maricopa County canvassed in the official results. But the only dissimilarities were the votes that Trump lost that shouldn't have counted, and the votes that Biden got that should have been. But whatever. His comments did not sit well with State Senator Wendy Rogers, who slammed him on Twitter. She said, Ken Bennett does not represent me, my constituents, or the state of Arizona, she wrote on the social media platform. He is an unelected individual who was caught leaking information about the audit. His assessment that the audit was never about overturning the election is wrong, which is hilarious because that was one of the things that they were pushing back on. They were always like, this is not about overturning an election. This is just about getting to the truth. If it overturns the election, then obviously money well spent. But that's not what we were doing. His assessment of the ballot count is wrong. When you have fraudulent ballots, duplicate ballots, and questionable ballots that total significantly more than the number of votes needed to win the election was a sham, and the electors need to be recalled. Ken Bennett is the wrong messenger of the Arizona audit results, and I'm sick and tired of rhinos telling. Oh God, I love me some rhino on rhino crime. Some gop on rhino crime. That's just warms the how does it pronounce, cocklas of my heart. Telling me and my constituents that our voices don't matter. Rogers has previously called for the mass arrest of Maricopa County election officials. She said, I would like to know if we have enough solitary confinement cells in Arizona available for the entire Maricopa Board of Supervisors and the execs at the Fraud Machine Company. She wrote on Twitter earlier. The Fraud Machine. You know, the Fraud Machine. You have the fraud. You know what the Fraud Machine is. I don't, but you do. Clearly. The amazing thing for me is there is no way someone in her position can let this go and still and not have the biggest moment of shame in her entire life.
Yep.
It's just not possible. It's brutally embarrassing to finally admit that you'd bought it hook, line, and sinker. You were in a cult. This must be what it's like when people try to wiggle their way out of a cult. And the people try to drag them back in and curse them to their families and deny their humanity.
They get attacked on the way out.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing. And the one thing about this is that she goes, when you have fraudulent ballots, duplicate ballots, and questionable ballots that total significantly more than the number of votes needed to win the election, you're assuming all those votes, if they exist, which they don't, were towards Biden. Biden wasn't the president at the time. Biden didn't have an outsized control over the election system. This was a Republican district, with a Republican board of directors, or board of supervisors rather, and a Republican state Senate. So, and again, are all the Republicans that got elected, were they fraudulently elected while, Trump was,
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, how fraudulent was this election?
Right, exactly. If they got in, so you're just going to step down? Because I think that would be, if Republicans want to put their money where their mouth is, and they really believe this election was fraudulent, I would say the only way to prove that they have any integrity whatsoever is to step down. I think you should resign in protest because you clearly got elected under false circumstances. If Trump didn't win, you shouldn't have won. This is nonsense. Clearly, there's some shenanigans going on, and you want no part of it, right? In the chat room, Antoinette's like, Biden, 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 Biden. That's our impersonation of the Antrim County recount and the Maricopa County recount. Biden, 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 Trump.
I hate this.
Yeah, this sucks. I didn't sign up for this. This is but this idea somehow that all the fraudulent votes, if they existed, and Mike Lindell has come out this week and said that one of the people that voted was 850 years old, and that there were many people over 200 years old, which of course is just them using the when people enter their voter registration and they don't put in their birth date, then it just it zeroes it out. It basically gives them a default date of January 1, 1800, or January 1, 1900, or January 1, 1850. And a lot of the machines do this. And they know this, by the way. They usually cure these ballots. There's another database where they fix that part of it. Your date of birth isn't in here. Oh, well, let me fix that, obviously. And that's where they get their, I guess these people would be the underage folks. They're just posing. It's a fake ID that makes them look 850, right? And now we've got on the dual track, which of course this all led to January 6th. And the January 6th Commission finally served Dan Scavino yesterday, late last night. So they have served all four: Mark Meadows, Steve Bannon, Dan Scavino, and one other I'm blitzing on. And now the question is, will they comply with the subpoenas? Will they actually pull these people before the committees? And my guess is, yeah. My guess is they're expecting them to fight it in court, to deny it. Then they give them a chance to deny it again. Many people have talked about the fact that the four that they want to talk to are the ones that would be the most intransigent and don't want to participate in the January 6th Commission the most. So what they do is they start, instead of waiting till May to start the process on these guys while they get the lower level people to come and testify, they've just gone ahead and subpoenaed these folks so that they can start through this ridiculous process where they obfuscate and stomp their feet and hide and hire lawyers to try and keep themselves from having to testify. And then during that time, while you're waiting it out, you're like, well, we've set time aside for these hearings, so let's bring in their assistants. Let's bring in these lower level White House staffers who are no longer protected by executive privilege. We'll get a look at we'll spend some time going over their text messages around the date and those kind of things. That's pretty much what you can, my theory and a few others on how they're going to end up getting the Steve Bannons and the Dan Scavinos and their ilk. in there.
I heard Steve Bannon, there's a picture of him wearing one shirt somewhere.
Yes, yeah, that was when he was in the White House. There were a couple of times where he actually went to meetings and Trump insisted, but not regularly. Most of the time, he looks like a Columbo on a winter day. Oh
my God, my father-in-law, I have to tell you this Columbo story. He has a habit when he worked at the fitness center, he would raid the lost and found all the time, stuff that was going to be donated, according to him, Your Honor.
Right.
And he's always wearing just like these oversized clothes. The man has money. He planned well for his retirement, and he walks around in torn, ripped, oversized clothes for some reason.
Never been held up, not a day in his life. Never been pickpocketed, never been held up at gunpoint. Nobody expects him to have two nickels to rub together.
Exactly. And he can't find his pockets because his shorts are too big and the pockets are not where he expects them to be. So every time he's trying to put something in his pocket, he looks like Columbo going, hold on, one more thing.
I got to find a pocket in this somewhere. I know. Nope, that's just a fold. That's where we are with him. By the way, the White House is not allowing Trump to protect himself with executive privilege about January 6th, which is gorgeous. We have to take a break. We'll talk about that when we come back, because Trump is none too pleased and really outdid himself in putting out probably one of the dumbest statements he's done so far. We'll be back right after this.
My.
Oh, yes.
This is Damian Perdue of Think Theory Radio, Saturdays at 6 p.m. You're listening to Hal Sparks' radio program, Mega Worldwide.
I thought there was going to be like a new one every break. I was so excited.
You want more, Hal? We'll give you more. Hal Sparks' radio program, Mega Worldwide on Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820. Hoo-yah!
See, that was easy. There's nothing wrong with that, Trump apparently called the election. Let's see. Where he called it the crime of the century. He goes, the former president predicted Biden's decision would backfire and criticized his son Hunter. This will put the current White House in a terrible position when the inevitable request for information comes concerning the massive corruption behind Hunter Biden and the already well-documented crimes committed by the Biden family, the least of which are Hunter's paintings selling for as much as $500,000 apiece. Now, I have to say, maybe that's a dig, and he thinks that will work with lefties or something like that, that anybody who makes a lot of money for what they consider a little work is going to somehow hit them, I suppose, in some way. But also, there's a reason why he's so sensitive about money. Yesterday, if you recall, Trump is broke was trending all over Twitter because it turns out that and I'll bring it up right now. Trump, he has a lease on the old post office building, which he turned into a luxury hotel during his time, and he told everyone that the hotel made something like in the order of $145 million while he was president. And we recall there were many times where there were stories of Saudis and others, foreign interests renting out rooms at the place, and no one was in them.
Yeah,
they would just pay for the rooms, essentially, and not be in the room. Which you would go, it's bad enough if they went and stayed there. It's bad enough if they pretend to be, or they favor his properties when they have other choices to give money to him. But it's even worse when no one is staying there. They are just renting the rooms, essentially, just to funnel money his direction. And even still, it did not help. This is a CNN reporter.
Lots of money.
Yeah. Former President Donald Trump racked up more than $70 million in losses over a 4-year period from his Washington, D.C. hotel, while publicly claiming that the hotel made more than tens of millions of dollars, according to documents released by the House Oversight Committee. The documents also show the hotel received millions from foreign governments in payments and loan deferral, which is, of course, Deutsche Bank, helping him restructure the loan on it from 2022 to 24. 2018 to 2024, which Trump did not disclose on his financial paperwork when he was running for president, raising questions about potential conflicts of interest during his presidency. I mean, at this point, that's just obvious. At this point, the GOP, this is a point of pride. The fact that he got to skate by and pretend he wasn't doing this. Yeah. Anyways, it's the first time the congressional investigators have reviewed and released details of the former president's financial information through the Trump Organization on Friday, though the Trump Organization on Friday challenged the committee's understanding of accounting and denied any wrongdoing. The Manhattan District Attorney and New York Attorney General investigators have reviewed Trump's financials, but none of that has been made public. Trump's income from the Trump International Hotel, reported in public financial disclosures from 2016 to 2020, totaled more than $156 million. He told everybody he made $156 million. He lost 70. This is like Biden votes. This is like the money version of Maricopa County.
Yep.
He, because his whole thing was he lost 241 votes and Biden gained 99. We're in the same zone here.
Right on.
Yeah. The DC hotel actually suffered a net loss of more than $70 million while he was president and had to be loaned more than $27 million from one of Trump's holding companies, DJT Holdings LLC, from 2017 to 2020, according to Hotel Financial Statements Committee obtained. More than $24 million was not repaid and was instead converted to capital contributions, the committee said. According to the committee, you'd have to ask Alan Weisselberg about this, I suppose. Their analysis of the document showed that the Trump Hotel received an estimated $3.7 million from foreign governments, which they say raises concerns about possible violations of the Constitution's Foreign Emoluments Clause, which would have been nice to go with, to be aware of while he was president, one would think. I see people in the chat room saying Trump's Iowa rally is today, which is, incredibly important. Let's see if we can find Trump. Yeah, I'll see if I can bring that up over the commercial break, and we'll jump in the middle of it. Although we can't be sure that, I've made mistakes in the past myself, but we can't be sure that he won't swear on the air. He's becoming increasingly foul-mouthed at these large outdoor barn and yard gatherings that he's doing, like a tent revival preacher with no tent. And so we shall see what we can grab from that, if at all necessary. But this is all, part of his big complaint tour. And none of it is working. The Daily Beast had a story beginning of this week about how interest in Donald Trump has fallen since Inauguration Day specifically, but ever since the election. That there was a huge drop-off in both media attention and desire to click on his sites. Because that's usually one of the ways that you judge it, is how many people are going to donaldjtrump.com and clicking on it and watching things or buying things or doing stuff. And up until the 20th, it was spiking after the election, and then it just cratered. And it's one of the reasons why you really don't see him on, he just did an interview with Hannity this week, where he, obviously said, people have seen this, and it was horrific. Basically just claiming that Haitian migrants have AIDS and that he's afraid of them bringing AIDS into the country, and they all have AIDS. And he was trying to set a record for saying AIDS as many times as he could in association with Haitian migrants. It was just gross, but at the same time, while it was obviously bigoted and disgusting, that's one of the purest views of what Trump actually thinks about a group of people I think I've ever seen. You know what I mean? There wasn't even in it and some of them are nice people, I assume. It was just rampant with this stuff, which is, shocking and bizarre, and yet at the same time, totally indicative of who this guy is. Now, the Iowa rally, and then of course the Michigan rally on Tuesday. The Iowa one is largely so that he could pretend to be running for office. They are strategically doing these things just simply so that Trump can pretend
So
to be
people
running.
keep giving him money.
Yes, so that people, will continue to pour money into the super PAC. And I would like to say to any Republicans, any of the maggots and Trumpsters who listen to the show and you hate listen, please do so. Follow that advice to the T. Pour all your money, as much as you have, straight down Trump's big empty gullet. Just
Give him all your money.
every penny. Sign up for the, I don't even think you have to sign up for the recurring donation. It does it for you. Just go straight to Donald J. Trump. If you sign up to give him $5, it will automatically take $5 a week out of your account.
And it'll automatically increase. That was another thing, too.
That's right. And on his birthday, it'll double the gift. Because
Birthday.
So, I don't know if... my concern about going to the Iowa thing is that he might say what he said about Haitian immigrants, but worse. Ugh.
Something about the word rally too. That kind of.
It sounds a little 1936.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really does.
It
sounds like the wardrobe is very simple and cotton.
Right, and but I suppose the who's showing up there but the same people. Obviously, there's a lot of people deadheading to all these things. It's the same people showing up every single time. Much like it's the same people who, watch Lindell's quote unquote evidence all the time and are increasingly convinced by hearing the same details over and over again that it must be true. We have to take a break. We'll be back right after this, right after the news. Yep. It's the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Let's see.
You're listening to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
I've had people walk out of me before, but not when I was being so charming.
Video streaming at halsparks.com.
I don't care for you or for the putrid sludge you're troweling out.
Puss-face little pimpstick.
True progressive talk.
Might be a good time for you guys to give up.
Welcome back. So I was talking about this during when we were leading up to it, and obviously Trump's in Iowa right now.
Making everything better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, clearly. I'm sure the Right Side Broadcasting Network is carrying the live feed of it while they make money and sell toilet paper or My Pillows or whatever they do. But there's an article in The Guardian about the silence of Donald Trump, how Twitter's ban is cramping his style. The ex-president once had a direct line to 88 million followers. Citation needed. Now he's suing to get now he's suing to get back on the platform. So this story's been going on for a while. He got slammed this week. No one, I don't think anybody except his lawyers thought this case was going anywhere but straight into their bank account if he bothers to pay them. But this bizarre turn that Republicans seem to be all pro-business and libertarian and laissez-faire and live and let live until it comes to the social media networks, in which case what they want the government to do is enforce
They're small government until they don't like how it turns out.
Yeah, they want to force these companies, private companies, to have to carry current and former government employees, because that's effectively what the law would be.
Force vaccinations.
Right. Yes. No forced vaccinations, but Twitter should
do force abortion regulation.
That's true. Yes. Force. Yes.
But don't
force
take
your
away
religious
my
values upon on someone else, because obviously convincing them is too much work. That's the trouble with deeply held religious beliefs, is that you have to convince people of them. Why do that when you can just make a law that makes them abide by your religious belief? Yeah, it's hey, it's second only to a suicide vest, I suppose, in the forceful implementation of my religious beliefs. But over the last little bit, this has been an ongoing thing, and all he's using, all he's been using his website for is raising money. And it is why I believe, by the way, that, oh, look, Chip came in. That's so cute. Chip decided to made a visit. Now he's just playing with a piece of paper on the floor. Hi, Chip. Hi, buddy.
Okay.
The interesting thing to me is that somehow, Trump has been saying, okay, he makes these statements on his website, and they're so much more elegant. They're so much more beautiful than they would have been on. He's a debut. There's so much. There's the way he speaks in his on his website is so much more elegant. These statements, and they get carried everywhere, and they get so much more reach. Well, in material fact, they do not. They in fact do not reach any of that. Let's see. There we go. Thanks, Johnny. That they're by every measure he is losing ground across the country, with the exception of is that he is effectively an example of the worst kind of micro branding that we have seen. That this is basically Trump is an old influencer you've never heard of. You know how occasionally there'll be some Instagram person that has like a gathering at a mall, and tens of thousands of kids show up, and
or like some YouTube personality, and
you're like,
it's like, they have 10 million subscribers.
Exactly.
What?
And they show up someplace, and you're like, they're wrapping a whole mall in toilet paper and filming it, whatever the thing is. And you're like, who is this person?
And it's just some like guy you could have gone to high school with.
Totally. That we have seen the rise of those people over the last few years, and it should come as no surprise that I absolutely intend to be one of them. Hence, infotainmentworks.com. Subscribe right now. No, I'm what you call a traditional media star. 3-hit series and a long running radio show. You know what I'm saying? Hi, buddy. Hi. And a kitten in my lap while I do my show.
Can I see his nose?
Yes.
Can I see his nose?
Yes, you can see his nose. He's got a very cute
it's
nose.
A little black
It's adorable. Nobody on the radio can see this.
Beans.
And he's a little bit cross-eyed, which makes him even cuter.
I love that. Are all of his beans black?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. I haven't checked. But the point is, this is, I'm not kidding. This is actually the phenomenon. A lot of people would say we're seeing an insurrection, we're seeing a cult, we're seeing those kind of things. In reality, Trump has about the same size following as a medium size, like makeup tutorial girl on YouTube. I'm serious.
Yeah, pretty much.
And if they gave if any of those kids gave free outdoor get-togethers, they would be overwhelmed by numbers that would swamp what Trump has easily. And these kids and their parents. You know what I'm talking about? Like, and so this is more indicative, and I think the body politic has been kind of misreading Trump's existence in the current mood, when in reality he's kind of just a quirk star. He's like an internet quirk star. You follow him not because he's a beautiful Kardashian or an Elon Musk who you're just waiting, or a Steve Jobs waiting for them to drop the next big piece of technology. It's just the local. It's a nationwide weirdo. It's you can hook on him, and then they've got those folks. Yeah, nationwide weirdo. That's where he is, and these crowds that he's gathering and that he's very proud of. Honest to God, from like people like Mr. Beast or Good Mythical Morning or any of these guys, if on YouTube, if they decided to do this. We're just coming to a fairground. We'll be in Iowa next week. It's free outside. We're going to have a couple of musical guests, and then it's going to be us, and we're going to do the thing, and it's free. They would fill fields of people. It's ridiculous. And Trump is not aware of the fact that that's what he actually is. And I think the Beltway is also mistaken in taking him seriously as a political entity. Because he is absolutely not. What policies does he genuinely have? Is he
whatever someone said to him moments before he
walks on
talking.
stage? Right. I mean, obviously now he is just.
He can't talk about any of them.
No, he's just griping for a living.
It's so amazing when there's a follow-up question. I've seen some of these interviews lately.
That's right.
Just from the old school Trump.
I mean, I really do think this is a very important way of looking at Trump as an entity that I don't think anybody else has recognized. And maybe it's because I spend a decent amount of time trying to expand my little burgeoning media empire that's happening here. It's growing organically and very well. And I thank you, everybody who shows up regularly for the daily live stream and comes to see and listen to and watch the show on the weekends as well. That as I look at some of the people who are doing things right and other people who are doing things wrong, and you try to learn from the people who know what they're doing, that Trump in and of himself is sort of an accidental social media star. Like, he's a social media influencer. We know that right after he left office, he tried his hand at microblogging for a while. That's effectively what his site is.
Oh, yeah.
Now he's just quasi-tweeting. Like, some of the statements are big statements where they a statement from the former president, the desk of Donald J. Trump, right? But a lot of the stuff, quite frankly, is just a one sentence. Read this article. Big lies are following us all over. And I think... yes, there's a lot of people who are, I know what you're doing, buddy. Everybody wants me to keep Chip. And we're supposed to.
I didn't realize Chip is a foster.
Yes, Chip is a foster. And I think we have decided. I think he's a keeper. I really do.
Aww.
I don't think I can part with him. I don't think I can. He sleeps on.
You've had other boy cats before, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They're just so cuddly.
He's just great. And he sleeps on my neck. It's just adorable. Aww. Thank you, James. As Dave Perner once wrote, nothing attracts a crowd like a crowd. Soul Asylum's Black Gold. Absolutely. That's exactly what's happening. And the minute it stops forever. He doesn't realize that he's basically, and this is what we learned from the Facebook. I want to talk about the Facebook stuff that happened this week. Because it's very telling in terms of what Trump is as a fading phenomenon, and essentially what his Achilles heel is in all this. Because we had the QAnons turning on Mike Flynn this week because of two words that he used in a prayer invocation that he stole from a doomsday cult Christian from 1990, that he just read her prayer verbatim. And he got in trouble with the QAnon because they think he's a Satan worshiper now because of the words that he used, the sevenfold ray and saying legion. It's so weird. And that's just a sign of it doesn't take much.
Isn't legion, isn't that from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure?
Yes. Right. But that's where they get it from, because the idea is that it's an angel of death.
Yeah, I guess that makes more sense.
Right, but in all seriousness, you are watching in real time this kind of a fade on his part. And if you want Trump to go away, what you're going to see is he's going to go away like one of these influencers. They're still going to have these, like Onision or something. They're still going to have these hardcores that follow him around that are absolute lunatics and will never let go.
Yep.
But the vast majority of the crowds will eventually, over time, after they've seen the same shtick, it's going to die on the vine. And already we're seeing a drag in his numbers. It's the same people at these rallies. Like I said, these are the hardcores. They're
I can't see that he's building any base.
No, he is not. There's been zero expansion during the last 4 years, and none during the last 8 months, certainly.
2 years when they've all been dying because they won't get a vaccine.
Right, exactly. Well, that's the other aspect of it. Well, anyways, we got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks Radio Program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. 773-763-9278 is our number.
Attention. Stop what you're doing. Because we're coming back to the Hal Sparks Radio Program, Mega Worldwide.
Oh my God! They went a little crazy with it, and I appreciate it.
Now let's get back with Hal Sparks' radio program, Mega Worldwide.
So Trump is in Iowa today, and the general consensus in the media is that this is him tipping his hat that he's going to run in 2024. And to them and to everyone who believes that, I would like to say, stop being ridiculous. You are being a moron. This is a sales pitch. This is a snake oil salesman, and his next stop is Iowa. And you can't sell his particular brand of snake oil unless you sell a few bottles in Iowa first. And he's going to be squeezing money out of his followers for the next 3 years using this ploy. And he figured the best way to do that was go straight to Iowa. That's all. This is not a sign he's running in 2024. This is a sign that if he doesn't raise money like he's running in 2024 and off people who think he's running in 2024, they're just going to forget about him. This is all to drive. These are all Save America PAC gatherings. These are all fundraisers. Everybody there is hit with it. They stream it on the website to do that. They follow up with people's email address. If you want to get a ticket to it, he's got to get your email. This is not an accident, and it's not because he's running for president. It's because he has to do this to get as many donors as possible, because the dude is losing money. He is losing money everywhere. His properties are bleeding money. He's not expanding his financial reach. He made no smart deals. His kids are idiots, and nothing is going to come from his time while he was president like he thought it was. He thought it was going to be his financial salvation, and it turned out it was not. Jared and Ivanka made money during the Trump presidency. Trump didn't. You have to understand that. Like, Jared and Ivanka, they made somewhere in the order of, like, I want to say $124 million while they were working in the White House for free.
Just with their side hustles?
Yeah. Just with their magic trademarks in China and deals that they got, and real estate deals in Israel and in the United States and in the UAE and that kind of stuff. And I guess across the United States as well, are upping those, the cost of their properties as well. Because what you're going to look at is the Ivanka Trump is the brand. She's the Kardashianing of the Trump brand, if it can be salvaged at all.
Sincere and warm.
What?
She seems very sincere and warm.
I get that feeling. Sure, in a Nurse Ratched kind of a way. Young Nurse Ratched. When are they going to do that prequel? Yeah, right. Nurse Ratched as a candy striper, starring Ivanka Trump. And the many noses of Ivanka Trump, and
the many noses.
They each get credit. But yeah, honestly though, he is bleeding money at every turn, and this is how you make that money back. He has struck oil, and it is a geyser out of the brain stems of his followers. He is bleeding these folks dry. And yet, because the Beltway is going to Beltway, the only way that, NPR and The Guardian and other, and The Hill, the only way they can perceive going to Iowa is the way they've always perceived going to Iowa if you are a current or former politician. They cannot imagine going there for another reason. Now, bands go there all the time. Festivals happen in Iowa. They do parades. There's all kinds of other reasons where you can make money or get publicity from going to Iowa. But thanks,
Is
Chip.
Trump starting a band?
Yes, I hope so. And I hope Mike Huckabee plays bass. But so I cannot make this clear enough to everyone. And I will not be moved on this. Trump is not going to run in 2024. He simply isn't. He's gonna try leading up to it, but the minute anybody steps in and isn't gonna step down, like if Kasich decides he's gonna run again, or Romney really wants a shot at this, and now they know his trick, because who cares if he calls you a name now? In the beginning of this whole thing, it was like magic. He could just nobody was going to run against him when he ran the second time. But in the first place, little Marco and all this kind of stuff, and then he brought everybody to heel. But anybody who's going to run, whether it's Kitzinger or Kasich or anybody like that, they're already aware of what his gameplay is. And he was an unknown entity. He could come in and make fun of people because he was just a TV star, sort of. He was a game show host. And so he could, it wasn't even a serious run. And by the time you knew he was serious, the knife was already in. So now nobody's going to do that. Everybody's just going to blister him at every turn and basically leech the party away from him. And it will more than likely divide the vote 60-40. But that's not my problem. If they want to have a rhino maggot fight, that's their mess to clean up. But that's the reality, is that he claims he has 98% approval rating in the Republican Party, and he absolutely does not. 98% of a lot of Republicans will defend their vote for him. That's very different than saying you support what he did, or you believe he was good, or you actually think he did, anything that he said he was going to do in terms of, because all of it's a lie. It wasn't the biggest tax cut in history. It wasn't the best economy in history. It wasn't the lowest unemployment in history. It was the only reason there were more people working is because there were more people alive than ever before. There's always more people working. Right. Else. He didn't come up with the VA Choice and Accountability Act. That was a lie. The wall itself was just built where there was already fencing. And it even still, apparently it doesn't work. Because unless the magic man is in office, the wall is completely incapable of keeping millions of people out. It just didn't function. A month more, and it would have done it. But for some reason, it's completely, useless with anybody else. Nobody else knows how to use a wall like Donald Trump. So there's a myriad of absurdities that he has to run against about himself that he did not have to run against last time. He didn't. Either time. The first time because nobody took him seriously until it was too late. And the second time because everybody was afraid of him. Because the Republican Party is stacked a mile high with cowards. Cowards and sycophants. And the cowards and sycophants, interestingly enough, are the people who are most likely to run for president, which is very weird. Of all things.
It's really sad.
Yeah. There has to be, one would think, presumed leaders in the Republican Party that have to look at Donald Trump and go, I know more than that guy. This is embarrassing. At least one. And
but they're not venomous is the thing. They'll come out and say something completely legit and calculated and important, and then they're attacked on their appearance or something they did in 1985 or any number of things.
I would say that was true in 2016. I think now they're going to be more venomous than they won't hold back as much. In theory, I don't know these folks, and they could just fold just as much as anybody else. The Ted Cruzes of the world.
We assume some of them are very good people.
Yes, right. No, I don't. But like the ones that are going to run, like Ted Cruz and possibly Lindsey Graham and like any of that crowd, Santorum will probably run again. He's a perennial favorite, right? But you think any of them are going to wait to be bullied around the next time if they seriously want a shot at it? Unless they're all running to be his VP, which is what it's going to turn into and what Trump wants it to turn into. Trump wants it to turn into a deal where he, a version of The Apprentice where he gets to pick his vice president and everybody's just vying to suck up to him. But none of them are going to make any ground if they're suck-ups because Trump's in terrible shape. He's miserable. Physically, he's in bad shape. Do you want the world's biggest suck-up to be one heartbeat away from the president on the Republican side? It's so odd. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. This is the House Bar Show. Wow.
Yep.
And a guitar
Chip
note,
is-
and then
I love
progressive,
lovable
and all.
Foster
Yeah, it's
Field.
gonna be good.
Hey,
And his
Hal,
little
did you
smudge
mean
by
something
his
like
eye.
this?
Yep. This is the House Bar Show. Wow. And a guitar note, and then progressive, and all. Yeah, it's gonna be
Chip ate some gas station sushi.
totally.
The House
Yeah,
Sparks
that'll
radio
do it to you.
program, Mega Worldwide.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Everyone I know who got COVID kitten was like,
Yes.
I thought it would be way fun, but they're really annoying and they smell like poo. I'm like, yeah, that's
Now-
the kitten gauntlet. You make
Yeah.
it through that, you get the reward.
No, Chip is hanging in there. He's all healed up. He was, we foster cats on the regular, and
Mhm.
when we've got, technically speaking, our cats aren't foster fails. He would be our genuinely first foster fail. The rest of them we just, found, like one was feral, two of them were feral, two were adopted specifically. So yeah, but Chip looks like, he's gonna be our first major foster fail, I think.
Now, forgive me if this is past tense, but is Chud still around?
Oh yeah, Chud's still here. She's feral though.
Thank
She was
goodness.
feral. She lived in the house.
Okay.
Oh yeah, she comes down here sometimes too, but she's a whole lot of woman, so she can't jump up on the stool as
Hold
much.
on, hold on.
Yeah. Anyways,
Just
back
go
to the
for
show.
comfort.
Hi everybody out in Radio Land who cannot does not understand foster cat conversations that Johnny and I are having while this cat is literally falling asleep on my arm.
Oh, my
It's super
goodness.
adorable. So Trump's rally is this afternoon in Des Moines. Des Moines. Sorry, did I say Des Moines? Look at me.
Just
How
did
far?
that,
How
Des
long have I been
Moines.
since Chicago? Des Moines. Hi, buddy.
It's like this planes.
Yes, like Des Plaines. Yeah, or Pamela's Des Bars. I personally think that that Trump's you have to kind of treat Trump's followers like they just follow some rando influencer instead of trying to like talk about him like he's a legitimate political force. That seems to be the mistake everyone is making. Everybody seems to make the same mistake that he's somehow, I guess, like a real political candidate. And he's by no means that. He only wants to be in the office because he thinks it protects him legally from the stuff that's going to hit him, his financial woes and his legal woes. I was on with on Stuttering John show with Mary Trump, and that was her genuine belief is that he sees that like he's like a cornered raccoon, and he just feels like that's his only out, right? He's in total panic mode. And if he'll run again if he thinks the White House is his only salvation. The problem is the talk about his taxes are going to come up again. He's going to have to go through debates again. He's going to have to defend his record again, and everybody's already heard it so many times. And then how do you run again when you say the election's rigged? How do you run for office when you say it's already going to be thrown against? It's already going to be thrown to your opponent against you. You know what I mean? And a lot of his stuff is just rambly griping anyways these days. So again, I think Trump is an aging YouTube influencer, an Instagram influencer. That's what we're seeing. Like we're seeing that like a human fad in real time. Thank you, Ask Pammy, for the for chip kibbles. Appreciate that. And don't forget, you can support the show by liking or subscribing. That's plenty. That's a great way to help the show, and we appreciate it. Now, the question is, will the January 6th commission go far enough over the next few months to really make a mark on the legacy in a way that will be usable by saying a Republican running against him? I happen to think that the Democrats who run against Trump in the future, and it will be Biden, he'll run again. They have an easy job in a lot of ways. They have a lot of material, and they'll have a lot to draw from, and a lot of successes like getting out of Afghanistan. As much as they want to gripe about how it went down, the fact that we finally did it after 20 years, and the fact that nobody else wanted to do it. or said they were going to do it and never brought themselves to doing it is in and of itself a win. And this, the economy, when the infrastructure bill goes through, and it absolutely will, the Build Back Better bill, the impact of that will be debatable. One of the reasons why, Manchin wants that to be, means tested, so only poor people get it, so you're not spending on all these people, and why some of the other Democrats want it is because, specifically Elizabeth Warren, is so that if you are a medium income Trump voter, for example, in one of these southern states, and you start to get universal pre-K, or your daughter or your son or your son-in-law or your daughter-in-law use the universal pre-K to send their kids to school so they have someplace to put them while they're at work, you're going to see the benefits of those things, and it won't be about how much money you have. And there's a gripe in those areas that programs are always there only to help the poor, and then anybody who's struggling in the middle class just gets hung out to dry. And so what you increasingly have is people rushing to the bottom, hiding income, or just not taking a raise or a better job because they'll lose benefits on the one side, weighting the scale, and then the super rich on the other end of the scale. And even though you have good intentions, it increases income inequality and disparity in the country over time, because without that disparity, you don't get the benefits. And so that is the debate that is going on right now in amongst the House Democrats and the Senate Democrats. So I will be fascinated to see how this plays out over the next little bit. But I have hope for both plans, for both bills. I'm cradling this cat in my hands as best I can because he just wants to go to sleep right in my arms. He's not having it. He's just done for the day. And it's super adorable, and I'm not able to push any buttons or do anything. It's super cute. And by the way, shop, adopt, don't shop, please, to everybody out there who's thinking about, shopping around for a pet. Adopt one, please. They're adorable, and they need all your help. And if you don't adopt them, I will keep them all, and then we will be overrun, and then I'll be a crazy cat lady. I've already got the hair for it. Now, where are we? Oh yeah, okay, we're good. So over the Facebook gathering, which I think was, did you watch any of that, Johnny? Were you able to watch any of the Facebook whistleblower speaking to the committee or any of that stuff?
Yeah, I did see some of that. That was crazy.
Yeah. So obviously, Marsha Blackburn and some of the other Southern Republicans focused on the fact that Instagram has, obvious research on how it gives, young girls eating disorders, contributes to thoughts of suicide and things like that. And that's something that I'm glad they're on board with trying to clean up and recognizing that Facebook has done research not only on that it occurs, but that there are ways they can fix it. They just don't, because making girls miserable is the key way they get them to stay on the site, because they doom scroll. And we now know in a lot of ways that doom scrolling is a business model for Facebook. It is one of their primary business models. But the other part of it, of course, is the artificial accounts and political division part of it. And this is the part that I think needs the most attention, and is probably the most difficult to talk to your political opponents about, especially ones that think that they're part of a silent majority, because online they seem to have all these friends and people that tell them constantly that they're right about ivermectin, or they're right about the octopus-like living organisms inside the vaccine that they're intentionally putting on, or making you magnetic, or that it's about mind control, or that it's part of a UN depopulation scheme, or any of those kind of things. That those folks think they're part of you hear this a lot, a silent majority, right? We're the silent majority. And the reason that they feel they're in a silent majority is because online, there's a whole lot of people that think like they do. But in real life, it's pretty thin. When you go out, when you're at sorority, or at your bowling league, or you're at PTA meetings and the like, with the rare exception of the ones that have been overrun by this kind of drive exactly, Chip wants to hit the keyboard. That these folks don't run into a lot of people like that think like they do. So, and when they do, they're few and far between, and not nearly as many as it would seem like there were if you just got in the Facebook and QAnon groups all the time.
Yeah.
And the reason why there's lots of them online and not so many in real life is because of this foreign interference. Something that, in our case is been abundantly clear. There's myriads of evidence that Russia and China and Saudi Arabia even made these fake BLM groups and fake conservative groups and basically put them at war with each other so that people would, real Americans would join them and then kind of get swept up. The 6 or 10 real people in there would get swept up with the 200 fake ones and believe that they had motivation behind them. These people were they have to be the one in their group to stand up. They're going to be the one to do it. They're the real person in there that can carry this message forward. And it's just, there's the fake BLM groups and the fake Antifa groups and all that kind of stuff are well documented as well. With the we now know they also had like random sites that just did cat pictures or fan grouped on certain celebrities that turned on a dime when the election came, because that's how they, where people are not, American people are not as engaged in politics as they arguably should be. And so the way you get them linked into these things, if you want to drive them towards a political belief system or political extremism, then you have to hook them the way that they want to be hooked. So invariably, you have these chat groups and Facebook pages that are for cat adoption, or that are just funny videos. And then for some reason, 90 days before the election, they start touting all this anti-immigrant stuff, or they start pushing videos that that show that Haitians with STDs are trying to break into the country, and this idea sort of seeps into the brains of the people who were like, well, I like these people, I agree with these people, they seem to like animals like I do, maybe I should listen to them. Yes, America has been punked, says Jeff in our chat room, and that's exactly it. This is a scam. It is a con. You are being there's a triangulation of political thought that is vying for control of your mind. And that's why a diversity of news sources is a great idea. It's why expanding your tapping the brakes on your reactionary impulses when you see a story until you get the full story is a healthy and smart thing to do, because you might be being led around by the nose by someone that ultimately wants to undermine the very thing you care most about. If you care about racial justice or any of these things, one of the ways you could undermine someone's standing in the community or online or whatever is to make them look a fool by making them chase something that turns out to be fake later. And it's a constant ploy in these areas. So I would again advise everyone to listen to what was said at that Facebook committee meeting, the testimony, and recognize that that's a regular part of your existence online. And that when you see stuff go through your feed, especially on Facebook, you're not seeing the stuff you want. You're seeing the stuff that the algorithm says you are most likely to click on. Mm-hmm. And it's very distinctly designed that way. That this isn't about what you asked for. This is about what you will click on in general around the topic.
Yeah, I clicked on the Sweetwater ad right before we went
I
live.
know, that's how they got you, right? And it's not a mistake. And sometimes it's fine. Sometimes it's normal advertising. When it's advertising, at least you know what's going on. You know it's an ad, and you know you're making this choice to follow that ad, and it might,
Sometimes I legitimately click on those things to reinforce the algorithm of things that I want to see.
Exactly. But when it's political ideas from random stories that are supposed to be a person, but are in actuality a soft power form of advertising from these ideas, that's when it gets dangerous, and that's where you need to take control of your impulses on social media. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide. Oh my God, he's so cute. Just, yeah. What are you doing, Sleepy? What are you doing? He's just sleeping on. Hi, Sleepy. Hi, Sleepy. Are you okay?